Dinosaur Adventureland in Lenox, Alabama. It is April the 3rd, 2024. Tonight we'll be doing a debate on the topic of the age of the Earth. Keith, I debated about a month ago, works in North Carolina in the aerospace industry with alloying special space metals. So good to have Keith with us here. So Keith, I assume, believes from the last time we talked that he believes the Earth is billions of years old. I don't believe that for a second. Can't possibly be for lots of reasons. Anyway, welcome to the program, Keith. Can you bring him back in there? You know how to do all that, Joseph? PhD, push a button. Okay. Keith, tell us about yourself and what you do and why you believe what you believe.
Well, I want to keep my opening statement short because I kind of want to jump right into the open discussion portion of the debate. But I do want to say thank you to the audience for watching and to Kent agreeing to have this debate with me. For this debate, I gave Kent a list of topics to choose from, and I'm honestly glad that he chose this one. Because if you watched our last debate, or any debate that Kent has had on this subject, or on the subject of evolution, then you've seen that he has plenty of talking points, but he only really has one argument against it, and that's that there hasn't been enough time. And I don't mean to get onto the topic of evolution, but I'll explain what I mean. Kent and I both agree that microevolution exists, and logic tells you that if life has been differentiating in this way for billions of years, that all these different kinds that we see today evolved in exactly the same way that the sequentially ordered arrangement of fossils makes it appear that they did. So if Kent can't account for all the observable, testable, and demonstrative evidence that so consistently bolsters an old Earth model, then his entire argument against evolution crumbles, as well as his young Earth argument. And I've heard many of Kent's arguments against the evidence that other debaters have brought to him in the past, and I have some questions for him on that. And before Kent has a chance to say, you're supposed to bring evidence, not questions, well, my evidence is implied within the questions. And before he can say, well, it's supposed to be one topic at a time, and you've covered a lot of topics there, I will gladly repeat any questions here. And if my last debate with them is any indication on how this one will go, I'm going to need to repeat myself several times in order to get a relevant response. So anyway, my questions are, what evidence do you have for all these changes in the rates of various things? The speed of light, the expansion of space, radioactive decay, tree rings, ice cores, sedimentation, fossilization. How can you realistically and scientifically posit that these things happen so much faster in the past? And why is there absolutely no trace of evidence that these hyper rapid phenomena ever took place? Also, I've heard you claim that the explanation for how the moon got so many craters is that it was hit from debris launched into space by the fountains of the deep bursting open. How would Noah survive something like that? And what would be the payoff? The flood fable makes absolutely no sense unless you completely ignore everything around you and disregard and disrespect the top minds in practically every field of science. I am not an expert in any of this, and I'm likely going to get some details wrong. And hopefully there will be somebody that can come and correct me so I won't be wrong in the future. Kent here has no such qualms with repeating known inaccuracies. His grift, in fact, depends on it. So while you're listening to him meandering down a tangential rabbit trail, try to figure out why he wants to change the subject so badly. If he is so confident in his beliefs, why won't he elaborate on these things? I'll tell you why. Because just like the moon, his theory is riddled with holes, and his livelihood relies on him hiding it. So tonight I'm going to try to expose them, or at least some of them. But like I said, I want to keep my opening short, but before I hand it off to Kent, I just want to ask him one last question. Will you be capable of making it through this entire debate without resorting to deception? Oh, do you, Kent?
Woo, I guess the gloves are off at the beginning. If you want to handle it that way, Keith, no problem. First of all, you called me a liar in a roundabout way several times, and you're mistaken. You're the one that's lying. There's no possible way the Earth is billions of years old. Jesus said the creation of Adam was the beginning. You're calling him a liar. God said he made everything in 6 days. You're calling him a liar. All through the Bible, you see the dates given. It's very clear. The Bible clearly teaches, anybody who would read it and understand it would say, this book teaches, whether I believe it or not, this book teaches the earth is about 6,000 years old. So you're calling them a liar, okay? And you're welcome to do that. Obviously, you're not afraid to do that. Neither am I, okay? You want to do the gloves off, we can handle it. Now, you brought about 10 topics up at the beginning here. You said, my only argument against evolution was there isn't enough time. Keith, that is a bald-faced lie. That is one of many arguments against evolution. There is no evidence anywhere of any animal changing to a different kind of animal. It doesn't happen. You guys have these stupid charts of amoeba turning to everything in the world. You think an amoeba turned to humans, and an amoeba turned to whales, and an amoeba turned to eagles, and all the animals are related? That's not science. Don't say my only argument against your religion is time. That's only one. There is no evidence of any animal ever changing to any other kind. The Bible says 24 times in the first 7 chapters, the plants and animals will always bring forth after their kind. All anybody has ever seen in the history of the world, dogs make dogs, cows make cows, turtles make turtles. No exceptions. But you believe turtles and dogs are related, don't you? You believe you're related to a turtle, don't you? That is not science. That is stupid. Somebody needs to shake you and wake you up. Whoever taught you that, you need to slap them and get your money back. They lied to you, and now you're repeating the lie. You are not related to a turtle, Keith, okay? You didn't have a common ancestor with a turtle, and that wouldn't happen over trillions of years. Turtles always have baby turtles. So don't say my only evidence against evolution is not enough time. You're lying. That's just one of every evidence against evolution. There's no evidence for it. There's no evidence for evolution. Finding fossils in the dirt isn't proof for evolution. All you know when you find a fossil in the dirt is it died, and it got buried quickly enough to fossilize. Animals today aren't fossilizing. How many animals died in the last 10 years? Colonel Sanders killed a few million himself. None of them fossilized. Fossils don't form today. But we find fossils by the trillions, if you want, by the quadrillions, if you want to count diatomaceous earth and stuff like that. There's no question there are fossils in the ground, a whole bunch of them. Nobody has ever seen an animal change to another kind of animal. Nobody's ever seen these fossils that they find in the ground can't possibly be transitional. All you know is it died. You don't know, so don't say that. Okay. Secondly, you said what evidence would for the rate of change, a change of the rate. Okay. Like I said, the moon is getting further from the Earth. There are physical laws that govern that. Everybody knows the moon is getting further from the Earth if they study it. It's called the lunar recession problem. I'll show you more on that. The lunar recession problem has nothing to do with the change in the rate. It's just simple physics. The inverse square law. If you brought the moon into 1/3 the distance, you flip it over and square it, it's 9 times the gravitational pull. People who study this, it's nothing to do with changing the rate. The moon is following the physical laws, the law of gravity, the law of inertia, and is following the obvious laws. The moon is orbiting every 27 days. It's about 240,000 miles away. How quickly is the moon moving away? Well, okay. They know it's moving away about 1.5 inches a year. It's been measured for decades, okay? The moon is moving away from the Earth. Young age for the Earth and the moon, there's an article about that. The moon is drifting away. It has nothing to do with evolution, but the moon, just the moon moving away at 1.5 inches a year, if you do all the math on this, and many people have, said, wow, this creates a problem. You don't have to change the rate at all. It just simply follows the physics. The gravitational attraction is decreasing with the distance and increasing if you brought it back closer. So the rate of the moon moving away might be changing as gravitational lessens at 1.5 inches a year. Why is the moon leaving us? Physics.org. It's a known why. It's got nothing to do with any changing in the rate. We know the moon is moving away from the Earth. Why is the moon getting further away? The moon is destined to disintegrate. What happens when the moon's leaving? The moon is just leaving. They do the math on this. The circular orbit is slightly orbital, slightly elliptical, but the moon is leaving about 1.5 inches a year. And the inverse square law is simple physics. If you brought it into 1/3 the distance, it'd be 9 times the gravitational pull. And the inverse square law, we talk about that some other time. Wait, there's the wife. Okay. So we know the moon is getting further away. Nobody argues about that. People who study this say this makes a problem. Back in 1994, they said the evolution of the lunar semi-major axis represents a well-known timescale problem. The lunar orbit collapses a little over 1 billion years ago. That's an astronomical journal. Wow. If you bring the moon back in, it gets closer, gravity gets stronger, It would snap together like two magnets a little over 1 billion years ago. But you probably believe the Earth is 4.6 billion years old because that's what you were brainwashed with as a child. I'm telling you, that's stupid to believe such a thing. Just the moon says you can't have your pacifier of billions of years. I know you need billions of years to make your rabbit turn into a prince or whatever you want to do. And we're going to pull out the pacifier here, Keith. Okay? You want to take the gloves off? I'm ready. All right? There is no scientific evidence that the Earth is billions of years old. There is lots of scientific evidence that it cannot be 4.6 billion years old. So you go on in your fairy tale dreamland and, oh, I got enough time to turn my amoeba to a human. You can believe that all you want. But don't say my only evidence against evolution is there's not enough time. There's no evidence for evolution. And if you want to call me a liar, that's fine. I'm not lying. Show me specifically where I lied. We give a real generic statement there. So I'm tired. I'm cranky. I'm ready to pull the gloves off. Your turn. Go ahead.
Okay, first of all, you spent a lot of that time talking about evolution, where whenever I brought it up, I was just saying that I was glad that this was the topic because of our last discussion. But anyway, you were talking about the moon's recession, which that was not one of the things that I was talking about. A change of rates was the moon's recession. But whenever you're talking about the moon keeps getting further away, and if you reverse that, eventually it's going to hit the Earth. No, because if you're just reversing the trajectory and pressing play, you're not hitting rewind. Because if you hit rewind, you go backwards several years. Now the moon is not receding away as fast. The closer it got, or the closer it gets, the slower it's receding away at that point. And
then take it up with Astronomical Journal. These guys said the evolution of the lunar semi-major axis represents a well-known timescale problem. They said the lunar orbit collapses a little over 1 billion years ago. I agree the rate would change, okay, as it moves away. I understand that. I taught physics for years. The rate would change, but it goes back, you can only go back about 1.2 to 1.4 billion years. That's what their experts are saying. But you claim the moon was formed 4.5 billion years ago. How the moon was formed, you have no clue, okay? You think that nearly perfectly round ball came from an impact? Right, okay. But it's just the lunar orbit collapses. Evolution of the lunar semi-major axis represents a well-known timescale problem, 1 billion years ago. The tides would make it collapse, even cause tidal problems on the Earth. So yes, the topic tonight is on the age of the Earth. I gave you an evidence that the Earth cannot be billions of years old. I'm not changing it to evolution. You started it off by saying, my only argument against evolution is there's not enough time. You started this. That's not my only argument. There's lots of evidence against evolution. And there's lots of evidence against the Earth being billions of years old. So you can live in your fairy tale world if you like, but let's hear it. What's your next evidence?
okay, well, back to the thing. You look at the stars, and you can tell using various methods how far away they are, and the speed of light is constant. That does not change. It doesn't even matter how fast you're going. If you're going 99% the speed of light and you shine a flashlight in front of you, it's going to leave you at the speed of light from your perspective.
So it's now going twice the speed of light.
No.
To an outside observer, if you're going at the speed of light and you turn your flashlight on and it's going the speed of light,
both
to an outside observer,
both the outside observer and the inside observer, they're both going to see that light moving forward at the speed of light, because whenever you're moving that fast, your time is dilated to where, like,
okay,
what is speed? It's distance over time. So if your time is dilated like that, then yeah, for you, the distance in that amount of time is going to be the speed of light.
I think that's retarded for somebody to believe such a thing, okay? I don't believe that at all. An outside
Take that
observer,
up with Einstein.
well, yeah, I'll tell Einstein, I'll debate him too. If somebody's traveling the speed of light and they turn on their flashlights on it, going the speed of light, an outside observer is going to see something going twice the speed of light. And if you want to argue about the speed of light now for a minute, you said several things. The distance to the stars can be known. I'd have to differ with that, okay? I taught trigonometry for years. Let me explain how it's done to you, okay? Just so you can understand it. When you want to measure something like a distance to a star, you're very limited on what's called parallax trigonometry. I'll give you the distance here. the distance, let's see. We don't know how a single star managed to form. Formation of the stars is different here. Let me get to the slide. Okay, right here. The Bible says the heavens declare the glory of God. Okay, the biggest telescope we have, the viewing area, all they found was more stars. Okay, stars are so far away, all we see is a pinpoint of light. We cannot tell their size or shape. Only one thing we can tell is the color. Now, if you're going to measure the distance to an unknown distance to a third point, you have to have two observation points and to use simple trigonometry, sine, cosine, tangent, okay? You have to know the distance between your two observation points. Well, the Earth is only 8,000 miles in diameter, so if I'm looking at a star and somebody in China is looking at the star, we don't have a very big base of a triangle, 8,000 miles, which is nothing in the star distance. You could use the parallax, okay, never mind. That's the max we can get on Earth. So they look at the star in January, then they look at the star in June. Now we've got Earth's orbit around the sun. Well, that's a really big circle. Really, really, really big. Okay, we're going 66,000 miles an hour. But 93 million miles is only 8 light minutes. It takes light 8 minutes to get from sun to Earth. So the diameter of this orbit we go around is 16 light minutes. Here we are on a spinning Earth going around the sun, and our galaxy is also turning, and we're trying to get accurate measurements to measure billions of light years? I think that's ridiculous. 1 year is 595,000 minutes in a year. That little yellow dot on this diagram is way too big to represent Earth's orbit. Not the Earth, the orbit of the Earth. 16 light minutes. Tell you what, let's put two observers 16 inches apart. We'll change the light minutes to inches. 16 inches apart. These guys are going to observe a dot. They don't know how far away it is. But I happen to know it's 525,000 inches away, 8 miles. Do you think two guys 16 inches apart looking at a dot 8 miles away could calculate how far away it is using only the angle of their telescopes are out of parallel? That's all they know. They know their distance between them, and they know their telescopes are not, how you know that 6 months later, I don't know. But I'll give them that. You can't tell exactly where you were 6 months ago on going around, all the things were going around. That is to measure 1 light year, Keith. That is the problem you have measuring 1 light year at 16 inches, representing the 16 light minutes of Earth's orbit. You want to claim they can measure billions of light years accurately? You are dreaming. You drank the Kool-Aid. You got brainwashed. Okay, take it away.
So what you're referring to there is parallax trigonometry.
Parallax trigonometry is the mathematically accurate way to determine a distance like that. Anything else?
And you were talking about how they use the Earth's orbit, and well, also 10 years ago they launched the Gaia mission. So that telescope is able to measure much more precisely. Like it can measure to like 1% of a milli-arcsecond.
Okay, telescopes don't measure distance, Keith. Telescopes magnify the light coming to you. Okay, they don't measure distance. You have to have two observation points to measure the distance.
Well, it also uses spectroscopic parallax. You've got spectroscopic parallax, which is not parallax trigonometry. You've got spectroscopic parallax, where they can actually look at the spectrum and they can determine what class of star it is, and they have graphs that they can use that
I'll tell you what the experts are saying right here. Stars are so far away they appear to be pinpoints of light. This is from Stephen Hawking, okay, who's a strong believer in evolution. We cannot see their size or shape. How do we tell the difference? For the vast majority of stars, the only characteristic we can observe, the color of their light. You can tell what color the light is. That may be from what it's burning. It might be burning a different fuel to make a different color, because different metals burn. You work in metallurgy, you know, different metals burn at different colors.
Right, and you're
not telling the difference.
You've got the luminosity and you've got the surface temperature. The cooler it is, the more red it will be. The warmer it is, the more white or blue it will be. And they can compare that with its luminosity and what star class it is, and they can deduce how far it is.
Now, this is where you just went off on a fairy tale, rabbit trail. You cannot deduce how far it is, okay? The parallax can only measure less than 100 light years. That's what this universe textbook, I forgot
But you
the
can
reference.
calibrate this with the parallax trigonometry to where you actually have mathematical formulas calibrating to make sure that you're actually getting accurate calculations.
Okay, so you're measuring 100 light years with
Yeah,
parallax
and then
trigonometry.
if this works for 100 light, then it can work beyond that. And then it gets into the point where you can measure its redshift from the expansion of the universe.
And you think that can be extrapolated to go 4.5 billion years? You really believe that? From 100 light
Easily.
years, you can extrapolate to 4. You know how much a billion is?
Yeah, it's a lot.
Yeah.
A lot can happen.
Okay. Let me make this point. Even if the stars are billions of light years away, that does not mean they're billions of years old. A light year is a distance.
Then how would the light have reached us?
The Bible says 17 times God stretched out the heavens. Maybe God made the earth, then made the
But if
stars.
he stretched it out so fast to where the light would never have been able to make that gap, not in that amount of time.
Keith, you believe in the Big Bang, that the universe expanded hundreds of times faster than the speed of light. That's what the Big Bang teaches.
But the material, no matter went faster than the speed of light. The expansion of space is not movement.
Okay, why did they say the universe, the observable universe, is 156 billion light years across? How did it get to be 156 billion light years if it's only 13 billion years old? Take it away.
Because of the expansion of space.
Oh,
the
so the
space expanding is not moving the objects.
Okay, the guy the other night said when space expands, the objects don't get further apart. So if you put
they do get further apart.
Okay, if you put two dots on a balloon an inch apart, and I blow up the balloons now are further apart. But he said, and I think you're trying to say, the space between them expanded. They didn't really move that fast.
Right. They didn't move.
Okay.
No.
Well, when I get stopped for a speeding ticket, I'm going to tell the officer, I wasn't moving at all, officer. The space between me and my house was expanding. That's all. Give space a ticket. I wasn't moving.
That's not how expansion works. And you know that, and that's a good example right there of you being deceptive.
That's not being deceptive. I'm trying to explain how stupid it is to believe what you believe.
You're deliberately mischaracterizing the argument, so yes, that is deceptive.
Okay. If the universe, they're saying now, it's 156 billion light years across, but it's only 13 billion years old. Something is moving faster than the speed of light. How did that star get there? Half 150, 78 billion light years to the radius. How did that star get from here to 78 billion light years away if it wasn't moving faster than the speed of light?
Because new space was created in between those 2 points.
Who's making this space? Where's this coming from?
Well, that's kind of on the brink of where we are in science. I'm not part of that, but.
Well, do you understand how, to the average observer listening to this looks so silly to believe such a thing? It's 156 billion light years across, but it only took 13 billion years to get there. But it didn't move faster than the speed of light, boys and girls. It expanded. It wasn't an explosion. It was a rapid expansion. This is so silly. Now, look, if you want to believe all this, I don't care what you guys believe. But don't call it science, and don't make everybody pay to put that in the public schools and make the kids learn that that's science. What you have, Keith, is a religion. You don't have a science. You are a religious zealot defending your religion of evolution. That's all you are.
It's not a religion. That's another area.
Evolution is nothing but a religion. Okay, I'll prove it to you right now. Do you believe these charts in the public school?
This isn't about evolution.
Okay. Do you believe all the animals came from a common ancestor over billions of years? Over whatever amount of time?
What does this prove? What does this prove about the age of the Earth? How does that graph prove your point?
I give on my video number 1 of my series, seminar part 1, about 30, 40 different ways to show the Earth simply cannot be billions of years old. It can't be.
Publish that research. Get it peer reviewed. Publish your research and get it peer reviewed. You might be up for a Nobel Prize.
You don't understand. I am the peer. I reviewed it. It's fine.
That's not peer review.
It is too. There's no smarter peer in the world than me. I peered it. Tell you
Okay.
what, go to China and get a peer-reviewed article that speaks against communism. Go to
Is,
North Korea and get a
is
peer-reviewed article.
every single scientist located in China?
Oh, there are lots of scientists who do not believe in evolution, who do not believe the Earth is billions of years old, but they
What's the
can't get their
ratio?
stuff peer-reviewed. Well, here's
What's
your
the
arguments
ratio
you're using. It doesn't
of,
matter.
of
How many people?
You're
How
trying to
many
use it
people?
as an argument, so I guess it does matter.
Okay. How many people during 150 years ago believed it was not possible to get a heavier than air object to fly? And the Wright brothers said, "Oh, we think we can." Oh, you
Yeah,
can't be done. Can't be done.
it was like a couple weeks, not even a couple weeks before they flew. They said that it would be like a million years before they would be able to
So
master
you're
flight.
making my point for me. The majority can be wrong, can't they, Keith?
When
Can the
science
majority be
changes, it's
wrong?
not because
They're all heavier than.
somebody lied. It's because they learned something.
Okay, I'm trying to do that for you. You're just ignorant. That's all. You just don't understand. There is no evidence of any animal changing, no matter how much time you give it. We have creatures like bacteria that have a generation time of 8 hours. They get born, grow up, get married, have babies in 8 hours. You get 3 generations a day. We don't see any change in those. They stay bacteria every time. Nobody
Again, this
sees a
is about the
bacteria.
age of the Earth, not evolution.
Okay, I'm just pointing out the time in that instance. We get millions of generations that are observable in one human lifespan, and it doesn't seem to work. So time isn't going to help you.
It does
If
work.
you had billions of years, I know you're desperate to rescue because time is the essential ingredient for your religion. I know you're desperate to rescue that, but there isn't enough time. Okay, the moon is moving away. Let's assume that all the scientists are wrong, that the rate has changed, and the moon been moving away for more than 1.4 billion years? Or are they all wrong? Because they're all
I
saying
don't know
1
how
billion.
long it's been moving away. I don't know
Well,
how long it's been a solid object.
I showed you the data.
A
They're all
single
saying
solid
1.2 billion.
object.
Okay, the experts are saying 1.2 billion is all you get for
Which
the moon.
experts? How many experts?
Astronomy Journal. That's a
What
peer-reviewed journal, Keith.
didn't
I'll show it again.
Yeah,
Keith,
please do, because it was hard to see that date, but it
okay,
looked like
I'll
it
read
said
it to you.
1954.
I'll read it to you here. Okay, was that the moon? Yeah, the moon is moving away right here. The receding moon. Let's see. Let me get up. This one's 2022. Okay, how's that? August of 2022. That'd be a year and 7 months ago. How quickly is the moon moving away from Earth? Whoa! Wow. Let's see. This is from
Did it say that 1 billion years ago it hit?
This is 2021. Moon is moving away 1.5 inches a year.
Yes, it
Let's see.
is.
Okay.
But did any of those say that 1.5 billion year? Like, where are you getting that from?
This is from Space Place, NASA. Is NASA okay to use as a reference?
Space what?
Let's see.
Space place?
Spaceplace.nasa.gov.
Okay, yeah, we're drifting apart. But does it say 1.5 billion years it would hit?
I think that article said 1.4 billion. Let me find it here. But you can read it for yourself. The fact is, the moon's getting further away, and this pulls your pacifier out. You can't have your billions of years. I'm sorry. Get a new religion. It can't. Explain how the moon could be moving away at 1.5 inches a year, and be
because it wasn't always moving away at 1.5 inches a year. So let's say, like here it is now, moving away at 1.5 inches a year.
Right.
Now back that up. I don't know, like X number of years or X million number of years. I don't know. Just back it up. Moon is now closer. But you always like to refer to the inverse square law. The closer it is, the more it's pulling this way. So if it's getting pulled more this way, that centrifugal force, or that's pushing it out, is going to be counteracted by that gravity pulling it in. So the rate at which it's receding will be getting smaller and smaller and smaller until it's pretty much at a stable distance, and then it just stays there.
Oh, wait. So you don't understand physics then. If the moon is closer to the Earth, the gravitational pull is stronger, and the tides on Earth are much higher, and the moon is just going to stay it that way. Then the velocity is going to have to greatly increase. because the centripetal force and centrifugal force has to equal the gravitational pull between them, or it's going to be flown out or sucked in. One has to be a perfect balance to stay in orbit.
But it's not a perfect balance, and that's why it's receding away from us, because it's not a perfect balance. But as you go back in time, it's closer and closer to that perfect balance.
Well, then you're dreaming. Where did you come up with that?
I didn't come up with that. That's science.
Show me any peer-reviewed journal that says the Moon-Earth system used to be in perfect balance with the moon closer.
It was never in perfect balance. It was just a ring around the Earth.
Keith, show me any peer-reviewed journal that claims what you're claiming right now. You're making this up, okay?
How am I making this? No.
Then show me a peer-reviewed journal. I showed you. NASA says it. Here's Forbes magazine. Right now the moon is moving away at 4 centimeters a year, about 1.5 inches. Here is astronomy.com, okay? They said the moon is moving away from the Earth 1.5 inches a year, okay? Here is a bunch of different ones. Let's see, Forbes, YouTube, Time Out, First Post, Astronomy Magazine. This is from spaceanswers.com, solar system. Will the moon ever leave its orbit? Yep, moon's going to gradually spiral away from the Earth. This is from physics.org, okay? And what's the date on this, since you complain about dates? 2019, okay? Is that new enough for you? Why is the moon leaving us? Universe Today. Here's one from 2018. Sorry, that's a year older. I'll get newer stuff for you, okay? Right now, the moon is moving away at the rate of 4 centimeters a year. This is from 2011, 2007. They've known this for years. The moon is leaving the Earth's orbit. And
I'm not disagreeing with you.
Okay, well, if you want to imagine it being only leaving a microsecond, micromillimeter every year as it goes around, you can imagine that. If you
not now, it's not. It used to. But the recession rate is getting faster and faster the further it gets away. So you have to reverse that too. Not just the fact that it's getting further away, but the rate at which it's getting further away is increasing. So as you're going back, you've got to reduce that rate as you go back.
Okay, so the speed of the moon to stay in orbit at 1/3 its distance that it is from now would have to be incredibly fast. Today it's 27 days to go around the Earth. It would have to be once every 20 minutes, I think, if you bring the moon in that close, just to keep it afloat.
No, I think you're orbiting. In order to orbit, you have to go a full rotation around within, I think, like 90 minutes or something like that.
You think the moon was going fast enough to go around the Earth in 90 minutes? Where's your peer-reviewed journal on that one, Keith?
That's just orbital dynamics.
No, where's your peer-reviewed journal? I don't believe you at all. Okay, where's your peer-reviewed journal?
I mean, I don't have one already pulled up, ready to go, but
well, thank you.
You have the entire internet at your disposal. You can look it up.
And you don't? For heaven's sake, you work in the aerospace industry. Don't they have internet at the aerospace industry, Keith?
Yes, but I'm not going to go through and do a Google search during our debate.
I'm just calling up slides, put up stuff I'm not searching right now. This is stuff I put together before to prove
right, and I haven't been doing this for decades. I haven't put together that many slides. But
please do. Hey, come back when you're ready, okay? The moon is leaving.
Oh, I'm ready.
Right
I don't need 10,000 slides or however many you said.
Okay, Keith, 2022. This is from Joshua Davis, published 2022 in space.com. Here it is, right here. Our moon has been slowly drifting away from the Earth over the past 2.5 billion years. Well, they give it 2.5 billion instead of 1.2, but still it's not 4.6. And even 4.6 isn't going to help turn your frog to a prince. No time's going to do that. Moon's orbit, its circular path is getting larger. Curious.astro.Cornell University. Is Cornell accredited university? Is that good enough for you? Let's see.
Like I said, I'm not debating the fact that it's receding.
Okay, good. Because
it is receding.
Right.
And the rate at which it's receding is increasing all the time.
Okay, so that doesn't matter. You're missing the point.
It does matter.
It puts a time limit on your religion.
How?
Here you go. This is from Astronomical Journal, volume 108. This is from 94. It's 20 years ago. Has the moon changed? 30 years ago. Let's see. The evolution of the lunar semi-major axis represents a well-known timescale problem. The lunar orbit collapses a little over 1 billion years ago. Would you please show me a peer-reviewed journal where they changed
1954? What is that?
1994. You're missing the point,
Oh,
Keith. It's 1994. Now listen to me.
I was
Would you
looking
please
at the
show me
page right next to it.
okay, show me a peer-reviewed journal where they changed their mind and said, "Oh no, we got plenty of time. The moon isn't a problem." The moon has always been a problem for guys like you who believe they came from a rock over billions of years. It's a problem for you.
Okay, so you have some sort of scientific journal there.
It's right here,
So,
Astronomical Journal.
yeah.
Uh, ast- Here,
I'm guessing that's some sort of magazine.
Astronomical Journal, volume 108, number 5, page 1954. You're confusing the page number with the year
I know,
of the journal.
and I just,
Okay.
it's very small print, so it was hard to read.
Good. Okay. I can blow it up for you if you'd like. So it's page number 1954. But even if it would have been 1954 when they discovered this is a problem, it still is a problem that hasn't been resolved. They ignore it. The fact is, the lunar orbit collapses about 1 to 1.4 billion years ago. You can't have your Earth being 4.6 billion years old. The purpose of this debate is for you to defend the dumb idea that the Earth is billions of years old. Explain the moon to me then. Don't just make up a story. It was orbiting at just the right distance closer. It's going so fast, 90 minutes. Show me some scientific evidence for that. Where on earth is this energy going to come from to keep the moon going that fast?
You claim that the craters on the moon were from the fountains of the deep being shotgunned out, and I'm the one that's making up stories. That story is nowhere in the Bible.
Don't change the subject. The moon is leaving.
We were talking about the moon. We're still talking about the moon.
We're talking about the moon's distance from the Earth. We can talk about what color it is and how.
And I've already explained that to you. That the closer it gets, the rate of recession decreases.
Show me the mathematics on that. I taught physics and math. I think I can handle that. Show me a peer-reviewed journal.
You know the math on that. You've talked about the inverse square law. The closer it is, the harder the pull.
Right.
So if the pull is increasing, then the rate at which it's going to be receding away is going to be decreasing. More and more and more, slower and slower, until it reaches an equilibrium or close to an equilibrium. Closer and closer and closer to equilibrium without actually technically ever reaching it.
Keith, the closer it is, the faster it has to go. Now, where's this gas? Who's buying the gas for this thing? How did you get it to go so fast? Why is it taking 27 days now to go around?
The closer it is, the faster it has to go. If it goes faster, if the moon started going faster, it would leave our orbit faster.
You said it went around every 90 minutes. Where did you get that number?
I'm pretty sure. I'm pretty sure that I think I got that from Neil deGrasse Tyson. I'm not sure, but I'm pretty sure that pretty much anything that's orbiting, no matter where it is, whether it's near Earth orbit or a deeper, a larger orbit, either way, it's 90 seconds. So the larger orbit has to go much faster.
I agree. No, the smaller orbit has to go much faster. You and Neil, you get with Neil deGrasse Tyson. I'll debate you both same time next time, just on this one topic about the age of the Earth, just based on the moon is leaving us. I want to see the formulas he used to claim the Earth. If the moon is close enough that it has to orbit the Earth every 90 minutes, it's going to pull the tides up about 5,000 feet. You're going to have everything washed away. The Earth's going to flatten out like a Frisbee. It's not going to be a round ball. And I'm not a flat earther. Maybe you are on this one. But if you bring the moon back in closer, it's going to pull the Earth out into a Frisbee. It can't be billions of years old, Keith. I'm sorry. You don't have that pacifier to suck on. Get a new religion. Evolution is stupid. You don't have enough time for it. Just the moon proves that. Put some slides together. Show me your peer-reviewed journals that say this 1994 article from Astronomy Magazine was wrong. You don't do that. And you claim you don't have time to do PowerPoint slides. Okay, just look it up. Send me the link.
Okay, I'm going to go ahead and move away from the moon because I keep on explaining it to you, but I don't think
No. Don't stop. Don't slap and run. You're not moving away because you keep explaining it to me and I don't get it. You're moving away because you're wrong.
The closer something is to something, the harder the pull is, the stronger the pull. I don't know how to explain that any differently.
You don't have to explain it to me. I taught physics. I understand what you're talking about. The centrifugal force and the centripetal force.
So whenever the moon was closer, it was receding slower.
You are correct that the rate of recession would change, but the guys who've studied all this,
so let's say that we go back there and we start from there. Now you've got a recession rate that's super, super slow. Now track that back at that rate.
You, the people who do the experts on this, like Astronomical Journal, said it gives a lunar orbit of a problem. The orbit would collapse. It's like two magnets. You get them closer, they don't just, they're going to snap together. The moon and the earth would snap
Gravity
together.
is not magnetism.
Gravity has magnetism is a good way to explain it, okay?
They're analogous in certain respects, but they are not the same.
Gravity follows the same inverse square law. So does light, so do lots of other things. You know another formula to explain gravity? The inverse, that's how they launch rockets to the moon, you know. They got to understand, what's this rocket weigh? How much gas do we need? Our pull toward the earth is going to change. As we leave, it has less pull on us. But now we get into the moon's orbit and the moon pulls us in. They got a lot of mathematics to run to get launch a rocket up to the moon. That's what I wanted to do as a kid. Wanted to be an astronaut. I said, I'm going to do that. So my daddy taught me. He was an engineer. He taught me lots of math. Son, here's what they got to calculate. We know the inverse square law works for gravity.
And the same people that accomplished all of that know that the Earth is more than 6,000 years old.
Oh, they don't. You
trust them in you trust them in all these other aspects, but whenever it comes to them doing anything that dates the Earth, now you've got a problem with science.
Well, now you're going to majority opinion, a totally different argument. It doesn't matter what the majority teaches. The majority of people in North Korea, the majority of scientists in North Korea, think communism is good and capitalism is bad. Tell you what, go to Iraq.
But this is majority globally. And this isn't any kind of majority of culture or any. No, this is just scientists, unless you consider the science a culture.
There are thousands and thousands of scientists with PhDs in all kinds of departments who believe the Earth is not billions of years old. They don't believe like you. So first of all, you can't claim majority opinion. You don't know that for sure. You're pulling this out of your hat. Okay, almost said the wrong word. Okay, you're making this up. But even if the majority did believe it, my point is that it doesn't matter. That's not how you determine truth. Do you believe Jesus was lying when he said the earth is 6,000 years old, when he said the creation of Adam was the beginning?
He never said the earth was 6,000 years old. Nowhere in the Bible does it say that.
Okay, Jesus said, Matthew 19:4, Mark 10:6. Jesus said the creation of Adam was the beginning. Was it? Was the creation of Adam the beginning of the world? That's what Jesus said. You
According to the Bible.
Do you believe it? Yes or no?
No.
Good. Thank you. In the book of Exodus, chapter 20, God gave 10 commandments. God wrote the commandments on a rock with his own finger and said he made everything, heaven and earth, in 6 days. You believe God was lying?
Oh, you were asking if I believed he was lying. I thought you were saying, do I believe that happened? And that's why I said no.
Okay, so you believe, you don't believe, Jesus said the creation of Adam was the beginning, and the Bible dates add up to 6,000.
I don't know that Jesus said that, so.
Matthew 19:4, Mark 10:6, look it up.
Okay, when was that written?
Shortly after it happened. Matthew, Mark, Luke,
Not
John.
Shortly.
You don't know that.
Biblical scholars do.
John was one of the disciples. He was with them. He was with Jesus. So that's another argument, okay? So you don't believe the Bible's accurate. That's fine. I don't believe your religion's accurate either.
It's not a religion.
Anyway, it's nothing but a religion.
Okay, so we talked about the speed of light somewhat.
Okay.
You kind of got sidetracked by talking about the moon. So you think that the speed of light used to go faster than light, which would basically mean that those photons would go backwards in time and exist before creation.
Wait. Photons go back. Start over now.
Yeah, if the photons were somehow able. No, this is relativity. If the photons went faster than light, then they would go backwards in time and therefore be at their destination before they were created. It would break causality.
So you're claiming that if a person is going the speed of light and they turn on a flashlight, the outside observer does not see anything going faster than the speed of light.
Nobody ever sees anything go faster than the speed of light.
Do the
Because it
textbooks
can't.
teach that the known universe is 156 billion light years across, but it's only 13 billion years old? Something went faster than the speed of light.
No.
It didn't.
Nope.
The space went faster than the speed of light. I tell you, I'm going to use
Space
that next
doesn't
time I
move.
get stopped by an officer.
Space doesn't move.
Well, you said space expands and stretches.
Yes, it does.
So that's not moving?
No.
Where did you go to school, son?
Where did I go to school?
Who taught you that? If space
Most of
is
what I know is self-taught.
I can see that. So if the stars
as
are
is what you know. Patriot University doesn't have instructors. You just teach yourself.
Here, let me show you what the science journals teach on this topic, okay? About the speed of light, okay? They are saying at Princeton University, they speeded light up to 300 times the speed of light. That's at Princeton. I'll show you the article. I know you don't believe me. I'm saying the distance to the stars, even if they are billions of light years away.
Whenever you pass light through a medium, those photons bounce around inside of that medium before they become expelled. But at no point is the actual photon moving slower. It's still moving fast. It's just bouncing around a lot inside the medium until it breaks free and continues moving at the speed of light.
Here is from NASA.gov, 2004, 20 years ago. Let's see, they can now, with the new telescope, measure accurately, with 10% accuracy, out to 482,000 million miles. That's 82,000 light years. They said this is an improvement of several hundred times over what's possible today. So in 2004, the new telescope improved it hundreds of times better to measure 82,000 light years. 82,000 is a lot less than billions. Unless you work for Congress, they don't know the difference in those numbers, okay? So Milky Way is estimated to be 100,000 light years across. So now with the new technology as of 2004, they could measure 82% of the way across our galaxy, and we're in it. And you want to tell me you can measure the distance to these other stars? I think that's
using what?
Using any method. Here you go. Scientists now estimate the universe to be 13.7 billion years old, seemed firm since 2003. However,
the Gaia space probe can measure up to 10,000 parsecs, which is about 30,000 light years.
So a parsec is a light year now?
No.
Is that what you're saying?
No, it can go 10,000 parsecs, which is the equivalent of about 30,000 light years.
So you're telling me a telescope in orbit around the Earth, which is moving, or a telescope on the Earth, which is moving.
No, it's not on. It's in space. That's what.
Okay. The telescope in space, but it's in space, moving around something. It's got to be moving around. It's going to be sucked into a planet or moon. Okay, it's moving. This moving telescope is measuring how much of a parsec?
1% of a milli-arcsecond.
Then you're telling me you can measure that. Okay, I don't know that's true. I doubt that, but let's assume it's true. Even if you measure the distance to a star, you're completely missing the point. It doesn't have to be billions of light years old. The star could be billions of light years.
If it is billions of light years away, and that light is reaching us now, that light never went faster than the speed of light because it's the speed of light. It's not going to go faster than that. That makes no sense. So if it's moving at the speed of light for millions of years to reach us, that light is millions of years old by the time it reaches us.
Joseph, or one of you guys, get on the internet, search how wide is the universe? What's the width of the universe? What's the latest data on that? The last I have is 180 billion light years across. So they are seeing a star 90 billion light years away. And it's only 13 billion years old. You tell me how the light got here then.
What?
If the edge of the universe they can see is 90
What you're
billion
showing is
light
not the
years,
universe. That's a galaxy.
I'm showing a galaxy, okay? They're saying the radius or the diameter. They're now saying, he just looked, where's that? What's the reference? He's going to want a reference. 90 billion light years across the known universe. 90 billion. And how did the
And
light?
like I said, expansion is not movement.
Well, then bingo, you agree with the Bible. Because 17 times God said he stretched out the heavens.
He
They could
stretched
be
out the
billions.
heavens, not he's stretching out the heavens and getting faster. He stretched it. Like that's past tense. Like he stretched it, it's done. We're the end. Now moving on, next step of the process.
Okay.
It's not
Okay.
continuously stretching. The Bible never says that he's stretching it faster and faster and faster forever.
Okay. If you believe the stars are increasing in speed, stretching faster, where's the energy come from? Where's the energy come from to increase the speed?
Well, they call it dark energy, and they don't really know a whole lot about that.
They don't know a whole lot about a lot of things, okay?
Well, they
But
know a
until they
lot
find
about a
out,
lot.
right. But until they find out, this is not science. It's a religious belief. It's a theory.
No.
Right now, it's not even a theory. It's hypothesis, okay?
What is a hypothesis? The Big Bang hypothesis?
No, a hypothesis is a wild guess. A theory has a little bit of evidence to back it up, and then if it's
No,
proven,
theory has a lot of evidence to back it up.
No, not always. There's some different ranks of theories, but then it finally gets to become a law, like Newton's law of gravity or the inverse square law.
Okay? Gravity is still a theory.
Right. Nobody knows what it is. Give me a jar of gravity and paint it red. Nobody knows what gravity is. We use it all the time.
We have some very good theories.
Sure,
but the Higgs
but we don't
field.
know. It's what?
The Higgs field. Whenever there's a disturbance in the Higgs field and it produces Higgs boson particles, they believe that is what gives matter its mass.
Okay, the Higgs boson particles. I'd like a jar of those for my museum. Can you get me some of those?
They decay super fast.
So they don't exist?
No, they decay super fast. There are certain elements on your periodic table that decay super fast and are very unstable. Does that mean that those elements don't exist just because they decay fast?
Some of them don't exist. You are right. They can be created and they've gone right away. Okay, some of the higher ones. I don't know, 102, 103.
That doesn't mean they don't exist.
They're not existent. They can make them. They can make them exist for a microsecond.
But they are a real thing.
But they don't exist. Are there any sitting on anybody's shelf anywhere? They have to make them for a microsecond.
They are real.
But they don't exist. Listen to me.
Not for very long. Not for very long, but they do exist.
They're not in existence right this moment unless somebody just made some a microsecond ago. It's not something you can go to Walmart and buy. Okay? Let's see. Black holes. Here we go. Houston Chronicle, 20 years ago. At Harvard University, Danish physicist Dr. Howe being able to slow light down by cooling it. They cool it to a 50 billionths of a degree above absolute zero. The light was slowed down to 38 miles an hour. So the speed of light's not a constant. Let's see.
Like I said, it does not slow down. When it passes through a medium, you got a photon of light passing through a medium. It enters that medium, bounces around inside, but as it's bouncing, every second in there, it is moving at the speed of light.
And so where did this initial energy for all these photons to go so fast come from?
Where did the energy come from?
You agree all the photons have a lot of energy. All of them. Where did all this energy come from?
Whatever emitted that light, whether it was a star.
No. His name is God. In the beginning, God created the heaven and the earth. God said he is light. And Jesus said, I'm the light of the world. They're both claimed to be the light. God is light.
A lot of people have claimed to be the light.
Well, he claimed he was. You can do with it what you want. Okay.
He's not the only one.
Oh, no.
He's not the only one to make that claim.
Then both of you are wrong, okay? Remember, I'm the peer. I review things, and you're wrong. I'm right. Okay, here we go. 1999.
Very scientific of you.
Thank you. New Scientist magazine. Dallas, they reported they slowed light down to 1 mile an hour. Here at,
They did
let's
not
see, New York,
slow it down
they said they did. New York Times,
because
20
you are
years ago.
misinterpreting their data.
Let me read it to you. I want to interpret a thing. Researchers say they have slowed light to a dead
Is
stop.
that a primary source?
It's New York Times.
That's not a
Okay.
primary source, not at all.
Okay. Harvard University, Harvard Smithsonian Center, Astrophysics, also Cambridge University, said, we have succeeded in holding a light pulse still without taking all the energy from it. Is Harvard okay for you? Or let's see, at Cambridge? Are you you can't have my job being the peer. Okay, I got the job. I'm right. So get a new job, right? Here we go. Eureka. Scientists break the speed of light. This is from the science editor at, here we go, New York Times, 24 years ago. The science editor said, scientists claim they've broken the speed barrier, the ultimate speed barrier, the speed of light. Research in the United States, particle physics showed that light pulses can be accelerated to 300 times their normal velocity. Carried out by Dr. Li Zhong Wang, NEC researcher, Institute at Princeton. They transmitted a pulse of light toward a chamber filled with a specially sealed cesium gas, speeded it up to 300 times the speed of light. Wow. How about atomic constants, light and time, millennium.arc, okay, dash arc. During the last 300 years, 164 separate measurements of the speed of light have been published. 16 different techniques were used. The speed of light has apparently decreased so rapidly, experimental error cannot explain it. Wow. Brother, I have a sinus headache. I'm getting dizzy. I need to quit. You get Neil deGrasse Tyson, call him up, say, Neil, I need some help. Come help me debate Kent Hovind. Explain how the moon can be
He
moving
has
further away.
much better things, much bigger fish to fry.
Yeah, okay. He's fishing in the wrong pond then. He's afraid of my pond.
Okay.
Okay. So I'm not feeling well. I'm getting dizzy with my stupid sinuses, but
Are we not doing a Q&A?
if you want to do a Q&A for a few minutes, yeah, see if I can. I had to work it's been a long day today. It's been a long week. So I apologize. Sure. Bring up some questions there, Joseph. Let him answer them and me answer them. Okay, for both. If the distance constant, if the distant objects of cosmos are estimated through stellar parallax, luminosity, then isn't the distance just a guess hinged on assumption? I don't argue that I've often said they might be billions of light years away. It wouldn't bother me. They might have accurate measurements, but that a light year is a distance. It's not a time. It's a distance that light travels. It's a big ruler is all it is. They could be billions of light years away and have been created yesterday.
But we wouldn't see them. If they were billions of light years away and they were just created yesterday, that light wouldn't have reached us yet.
No, you yourself said if the universe is 90 billion light years across, then the space must have stretched to put them out there. You're saying they're 13 billion years old, but they're 90 billion light years away. I say they're 6,000 years old and they're 90 billion light years away.
But whenever that light was emitted, they were not that far away.
Right. We're seeing
they were closer when it was emitted, and the space has stretched, and that light has redshifted.
You got a techno problem there. You're breaking up. What happened?
Can you hear me?
Okay. Yeah.
Is it better? Okay.
Okay. So answer the question here, Keith. This guy asked a question for you and I gave my answer. If the distance of distant objects in the cosmos is estimated through stellar parallax or luminosity, isn't the distance just a guess? In other words, an estimate. It's
a calculation based on patterns that we found by looking up into space and doing observations. It's a calculation.
Now you keep saying we. Are you involved in this or?
No, I'm not. We that are. I don't mean we. Like I said earlier, when I say we, I don't mean to be a part of that.
Okay, well, we have decided the Bible is absolutely correct, and God made everything in 6 days, and He stretched out the stars. He said so 17 times to make sure we'd get the message. So they are billions of light years away, but they're only 6,000 years old. Not a problem. Okay, next question. Kent, why is there excellent agreement about 4.5 billion years old between dating meteorites, Earth, and moon rocks by several different dating methods. Well, I think your question has a built-in assumption. You're assuming there is accuracy. I think you'll find all kinds of numbers with that. The dating methods are all based on real obvious assumptions, which I cover on video 7. But
And
Keith,
they all
go ahead.
agree with each other pretty closely,
Yeah.
extremely closely.
Right. That's why I cover it every Friday on my series on Genesis Baptist Church on YouTube, and all my channels are on drdino.com. Every Friday we cover a different scientific evidence for 6,000 years. And the recession
There
rate
are
of the
none.
moon, the recession rate of Niagara Falls eroding back, the salt increasing in the ocean, the erosion rate of the continents, the growth of stalactites in caves, all of them agree. Earth is 6,000 years old.
No.
Watch my series. How long does Keith think it took to form the Grand Canyon? Matthew? I'm thinking, Matthew.
A very, very long time. As far as how long, I don't know the exact year. I don't think anybody knows exactly, but there are ways to deduce that it is much older than 6,000 years old.
Okay. Well, on my series every Friday night, I cover that. Erosion rates, let's see, erosion of Niagara. It takes me a while to find the slides. The top of Grand Canyon is 8,000-foot elevation above sea level. The Colorado River enters the canyon.
And it's been rising.
Well, the Colorado River enters the canyon at less than 3,000 feet.
But
Rivers don't flow uphill.
the elevation is rising.
Right. If you plugged up
So
Grand Canyon,
just like with your moon, you've got to reverse that. They didn't used to be that tall. They didn't used to be that high above sea level.
And they're rising because of isostatic rebound of the loss of the weight of the water. There used to be a huge lake there called Grand Lake. Grand Lake is gone because it cut a notch in the Grand Canyon's a washed out dam. It probably formed in a couple weeks. You get a lot of water moving through relatively soft sediments right after Noah's flood. When all those layers were still soft, it'd be mud. Then it'd wash it out in a couple of weeks.
Why wasn't all of it washed out then? Why would there be pillars?
It washed it out down to the level where the river can flow downhill. All rivers flow downhill, you know.
Right, but why wouldn't it wash all of that sediment out? Why just that channel?
Come visit our gravel pit here. We have probably millions of little tiny little tiny mesas. There's a rock on top of a little pile of dirt. We got certainly hundreds of thousands of them. Every time I give my tour, like I did today several times, we stop in the Jeep, we stop and look, and people say, wow, there are thousands of them all over here. It's from the rain. Moving water would wash away the softer part, but the part under the rock is compressed a little bit.
But if it was a global flood, why aren't there Grand Canyons everywhere?
There are canyons everywhere.
Why isn't the entire globe just covered?
Well, there are canyons everywhere, and the canyons are.
I live in North Carolina. We have none.
Oh, I'm so sorry. Come down and see ours. We got a bunch in Alabama. We'll sell you one.
Okay, well, we've got none anywhere around here, and if the Grand Canyon could form like that from the flood, and the flood happened here too, why do we have no canyons?
Oh, you guys missed out. I am so sorry. I'll send you one. Okay.
Because your God couldn't do it.
There's your problem right there. You're really against God. That's the whole problem. This is a battle against Keith versus God. There's not about science. You just hate God because God.
That's a much easier opponent because you at least exist.
Okay.
A lot of people have tried talking to God and never really gotten any kind of conversation like this.
A lot of people did in the Bible. Talk to him face to face. Man, it was amazing.
Why doesn't it happen anymore? Why is he hiding?
Well, let's schedule another debate. Any more questions here, Joseph? We're good. Did you have any final questions or words of wisdom there, Keith? I'll find my Grand Canyon. No, okay. I take the position the Bible is literally true. God made everything in 6 days. The flood of Noah explains all the canyons that we see and explains the layers of the earth. All the layers of the earth formed in 1 year with tidal pumping. The moon is holding a bump called the high tide. We spin under it, so the water has to go up and down, in and out of that bump. It's up and down. Noah wouldn't even feel that, but the rushing in and out of a 200-foot tidal bump on a harmonic tide, that
And
was
all the
caused.
mountains would have gotten smoothed out.
No, the mountains formed at the end of the flood. After all these layers formed, then the mountains arose. Psalm 104 tells us about that.
So
I
all
got a
these
book.
mountains just came shooting up out of the water, and Noah was perfectly fine in the middle of that.
Oh no, not everywhere. I don't know if you know this or not, but there are not mountains everywhere in the world. Some places are flat, like Kansas and Nebraska. They don't have mountains. They got left out of the mountains too, and you got left out of the
The
canyons.
entire world is fairly flat. If you were to shrink down the earth to the size of a pool ball, it would be smoother than a pool ball.
And rounder. I agree. I understand that. Okay. The 5-mile high mountain on 8,000-mile Earth is nothing. Actually, the thickness of the crust of the Earth is about the same as the paper covering this globe compared to the globe. That's how thick.
So that the amount you're saying that all these peaks and valleys suddenly formed after the flood, and that's how all this water receded away. But if you're barely tweaking the crust, you're barely raising the surface area, that's not going to be enough to drain 10 Atlantic Oceans.
Okay. Well, when I get to heaven, I'll get the video. I'll try to get it to you wherever you are at that time. Okay. I believe the story's true.
No one's ever gotten anything out of heaven before.
Okay. Well, the crust of the Earth might have raised faster in some places and slower in other places. I think.
Why? It was global.
We're getting nowhere. Okay. You call Neil. Tell him I'll take him on too. Okay. If he wants, I'll pay him $100 to join you in the debate. Take you both on. The moon is receding. You want to go back to an imaginary
at an increasing rate.
Okay. You don't know that. Show me the
No,
math on
we
that.
do know that. We can measure that.
Okay. Here you go. We again.
We, humanity.
Yeah. We. I'm part of humanity, and I'm the Peter,
Right.
for heaven's sake.
You're part of the tribe.
Okay. We got to quit. I'm sorry. I'm getting dizzy here. But please call schedule again. And just on the age of the Earth. Okay. I think the moon receding. I think I made my point. It is receding, and it shows 1.2 billion.
Faster and faster.
I'll get some more peer-reviewed journals and show you. You get some peer-reviewed journals and show me how you can have it at a lower orbit and going fast enough to go 90 minutes and not cause problems. Show me the peer-reviewed journal of that. That explains how the dinosaurs went extinct. The tall ones, anyway.
There were no.
Ha. All right, Keith, I'm so sorry. I taught 15 years high school, only missed 5 days for being sick.
You preached to high school aged kids. You did not teach high school. Preaching to high school aged kids is not teaching high school.
Okay, let me explain it to you real slowly. You are a liar. You are lying, Keith. I did teach high school, 15 years. Science, algebra, geometry, trigonometry, biology, earth science. Don't lie about me, Keith.
So you have a bachelor in education?
I have a PhD in education, but I got to quit. That's not the topic for
From an accredited school?
Joseph, book him for another time. We'll finish up. Okay, the Bible said at the end of time there'd be scoffers who would be willingly ignorant of the creation and the flood. You just met one tonight.